So about a month ago, I pitched a comic idea to a local comic magazine called the Columbus Scribbler, and it got approved. They liked it. So we're about to work on it. Let's do it. So I always keep a travel bag with me, and this always has a couple books that I use for reference, a bunch of drawing materials, and one, sometimes two sketchbooks. And in this sketchbook, before work at Raising Cane's, before work one day, I had this idea of 402 from Toilet Paper Trash, and we're calling it baking cookies with 402. And my main idea was using these three panels to go into the bowl. I thought that was such a fire idea. And step 2, mystery juice. Yeah, this is that's why nobody actually eats 402's cookies. But yeah, man, so now we've got this. We have to change the format. So this would translate easily to a full page, kind of like an 11 by 17. But I submitted it for a half page, which is 10.5 by 7.75. So I need to make some changes. First, I got to figure out what that even means. It's still somewhat similar to this. Right, it's almost an 11 by 8, which not too bad. So I was sitting here just trying to figure out what the size actually looks like. And this is it. So it's almost like a 8.5 by 11 turned on its side. Almost. So that's what I could just use as my reference for my rough drawing, basically. Alright guys, so I had to do just some quick math here. So usually when you're working on something to print, you want to upscale it a little bit. And I don't feel like going to go buy new paper for this. So I just upscaled it by 0.5. So my final original art will be 15.75 by 11.625. But for my thumbnailing, because I have to reorganize this, right? I need to squish and stretch. So for my smaller thumbnails, we'll do 5.25 by 3.875. Now, honestly, since it's a rough sketch for these smaller ones, I'm gonna just do 5 by 3, or I guess maybe round up on that 5 by 4, just a little bit, because I want to account for bleed and stuff like that. Now, for those of you beginners, you don't really need to worry too much about dimensions like this yet. But the dimensions of your artwork does come into factor when you start doing art for clients, especially for a publication, when these things need to be exact. And you also need to account for bleed, which is usually it's usually 0.13, I believe. Man, I've made 4 self-published books, and you'd think I would know. It's something like that. Usually you get told all this information anyways. It's a little confusing at first, so don't let it get you down, because it is a little weird to learn it all at first. But basically, like a bleed, let's say this was a panel that I wanted to go from the end of the page to the end of the page. I would extend beyond that bleed for it. And then I would keep these panels farther away, more in, so they're not getting cut off. Because bleed it's basically for print type of stuff. So I didn't really think that, I didn't have the intention of pitching this to this company, and it just kind of happened. You hear people say, oh, you create your own luck, right, by preparation and other things. You can kind of control the luck that has come your way. Basically, I just follow this company, follow them on Instagram, and I think it was a couple days after I drew this, that's when they said, hey guys, we're looking for submissions. And I said, screw it. I didn't think I was going to get into it, but you never know. And I'll say it's always best to just, when you have a potential opportunity, just shoot your shot and see what happens. All right, what's the worst they're going to say? No. Oh, wow. But I don't want to be like that. It is intimidating at first, for sure. It is, I don't know, it's all scary. But I believe you should just always shoot your shot and see what happens. Right? Because you never know. So eventually you're going to get a yes, and you need to do the best job you can when you get that yes, so that hopefully you can continue the train of opportunities. So for those of you who are in Columbus, right, the Columbus Scribbler, I think it's every 6 months they open up applications. It's either every 6 months or every 3 months. I've seen them at pretty much every comic convention or comic expo that I've been to. They're very prevalent in the comic community here in Columbus, and I've been wanting to submit to them for a while. I just always missed the deadline. But this time we got it, so boom. So I gotta remember I'm stretching all of this now, right? I can't necessarily keep it exactly the same. But the idea of it all funneling down into this bowl, which I might even have it break the kind of go behind the panels. If you've been watching any of my recent videos, I'm thinking about how on Black Science, one of the studies I did, the amazing panel that I was drawing, it went behind a lot of the other panels, which I think that's called like a fill panel, or it's an open panel, but it extends beyond everything. But yeah, that's kind of what we're working on now. So I like these panels that I did in the original, because the idea was, okay, the batter is kind of leaking out of the panel, the mystery juice is leaking out of the panel, the chocolate chips are falling out of the panel, and then I love this mix panel, so we'll probably put that right here. Right, and it's okay if it overlaps this a little bit, right? We know it's a bowl, we don't really need to see it, but I do like this open panel right here, so I might have to squish this even more. Or I could just, it doesn't have to be an open panel. Alright, it doesn't have to be an open panel. Here I am setting restrictions on myself when you don't need to do that. Alright, so cookies. So this would pretty much be it. I think I want this panel to be shorter or skinnier. So we're going to just kind of redraw some of this, because I want these panels to have their space, right? They have a lot of space. So I want them to have as much space as possible. And see, so it would be like that. So basically I'll have the panels kind of come up close and they can overlap. I'm overlapping them with the steps. All right, step 1, step 2, step 3. So we'll probably continue that. Now there's a lot of space in between, so I can kind of really bring it out a little bit more. I still think I want to bring it up. So they didn't the company did not exactly tell me. They said I need to change the proportions. Right, because I had applied for a half page, because these are big magazines. They're like this is almost the size of one page, and then it's double the length. So right, it's a big magazine. So basically this will be my page that I'll have. I could have done a full page, but again, I didn't even think I was going to get it. I didn't think I was going to get accepted, so, or approved, I guess you could say. So we're just going to kind of play around with these elements and make them fit nicely without changing the original idea too much. Right, because it was really built upon this more vertical than horizontal vibe. Alright, so I've kind of figured out my kind of vibe. I can make some things a little bit bigger. Right, this can be a little bit bigger. Now, I believe in the original sketch, I had drew the framing after I got everything in here. So I want to try that with this panel. Alright, so this is the sketch. I think it would be a good idea to do one more. Alright. We'll do one more. So we'll go about here, right? Because it was 5, then 4. This thing has been a lifesaver. This is like it's like a smaller T-square. Typically you see those big giant T-squares, those big metal ones. What I actually have one. Oh, I have 2. One of these big giant ones. These are cool. I actually use them more for like home projects and stuff like that. I use them more for that than for art, because I feel like it's too heavy duty. Now maybe it's because I'm a comic artist, but This one is just perfect enough to lay flat and line up with the paper. Just perfect. Beautiful. That's what I wanted. So while I draw this next one, we'll talk about some things. So for other artists who are out there that haven't got much going on, I'd say look to your community, right? For this piece that I'm doing is for a local comic magazine publisher. Now that may be something unique to my city of Columbus, but if you're in a decent sized city, there is an art thing somewhere for you. And I would suggest just trying to get into that. The only reason I'm talking like this is because I've noticed I'm getting a lot of kind of beginner and intermediate artists to my channel. I'm getting some people who've been around the game for a while, but I'm getting a lot of newer artists, which is beautiful. I like to teach. I'm still learning myself, so we're learning together. I'm not trying to say I know everything. I'm just trying to give my experience to you, and hopefully it can help you along the way. But yeah, so back to what I was saying. I look around your city. I'd say if you're like the population in Columbus, it's like almost 1 million people. So it is a decently sized city. I wouldn't say we're not even the biggest city in Ohio, but we do have like a big arts. We got a lot of art family, art blood here. There's a lot of organizations like the Greater Columbus Arts Council. They go by GCAC. They've helped me out a lot. I've got a couple grants from them. We got the Scribbler. We've got Wild Goose Creatives. We've got so many little art things around here. And it's not just like, we have a lot of galleries too, but a lot of it is like stuff for non-gallery artists, which is cool. So yeah, if you are in or close to like a decently sized city, you can start trying to get in contact with whatever organizations, and it'll take you some time. Like, I've known about the Scribbler for 4 or 5 years now, and I'm finally have gotten into it. So don't expect your career to just blossom immediately. I think that's one thing that a lot of beginners find hard to grasp. They think we're all just like this. Right? It's hard. Like when you look at the Kim Jong-gis of the world, you look at how they draw and you're like, how did you ever not be good? But we all have our growing period, and you have to get through it and enjoy it, because I tell you what, when things start rolling and it's client work after client work, if you don't have love for art, you are not going to last. If you don't love this, I'm not saying give up, but try to find that love first before you really try to make it a career. Because the art world, we're all nice to each other, but man, this shit is cutthroat. It is, you get a couple chances to make a name for yourself, and that's no, I don't want to make it sound so scary like that. You can have a lot of misses. There's, for example, I was going to become a concept artist. That's what I wanted to do. And gosh, I got rejection letter after rejection letter. I got up to hundreds of them. And I ended up switching to comics, not necessarily because of the rejection, but because I discovered what I actually want to do. And I think you've got to go through a bunch of steps on the journey to get there. You know, people talk about the mountain thing and they're like, oh yeah, go straight up to the mountain. But I don't necessarily believe all that. You typically hear like concept artists talking about this. And it's like, sure, if you are 100% sure you want to be a concept artist, but God, there's 100 things you could do. There's so many mountains to climb. Now, the idea of it is to pick something and go in that direction, which you should. You should pick something, but don't be scared to deviate just a little bit, because maybe you'll find your love is actually on this mountain. Right? That's how it was for me. Right? Like, I love design. Right? This is concept art. I love design, but comics, storytelling, that is where I am in my element. So it took me some time to get there. And I wouldn't have got there if I wouldn't have started this journey right here. You know, you have to start somewhere. So pick something, but don't be scared to change. Right? That's I've learned to embrace change, not just through art, but through life. Like I feel like I get more new people on this channel than I do reoccurring. I'm a father of 2, kind of old. I'm 30. I mean, I still feel pretty young and spry, kind of. But where was I going with that little tangent? Change, right? Like, shoot, the elementary school I went to is closed. It's closed. They tore it down, and now it's a urban park. Right? Life is all about change, and you can't control it all. Right? So I have learned to just accept the change and try to embrace it. So with this one, I feel like, again, I'm running into that space issue because I'm trying to go more vertical than horizontal, and I need to change that idea. Don't be afraid to erase everything that you just drew. It's okay. You drew it once, you can draw it again. And if you can't draw it again, then it was luck. Now you just need to figure out that luck and how you made it happen and get it consistent. Okay, so if I do that, that gives me a little bit more space. Right in this circle, I can kind of squash into almost like an egg shape. Right, and then this one, I still feel like I'm leaning more towards this side. I'm forgetting that I have so much space on the width-wise. So maybe I'll start over here, right? So I kind of want this panel to be a little bit bigger. Now, hopefully my camera is picking up all this pencil work. If not, I'm gonna have to just cut all the voice overs that I just did, which is fine. It's okay if it happens. So with this one right now, I feel like I've lost the uniqueness of each of these panels. Right, they all feel kind of different here. So I think I need to try to do that, and I can do it like this, right? I think make this one a little bit more boxy, right? And the cookie one, I can make it a little kind of like a, you know, speech bubbles, they'll do like a bubble on top of a bubble like this. Now with this, it doesn't give me a lot of room for 402 up here, right? It feels too tight. So perhaps this isn't the move. Or I just take this bowl and I lower it some more. Of course, sketching like this would be quicker digitally, and what I've got plenty of experience with digital, I just prefer traditional. I don't know, there's just something that makes me connect more with it and care more. Right, it's not to say I don't care about my digital work. But I don't know, it's like a different connection to it. And it, I don't know, it's like, it just doesn't feel real to me when I'm doing it. Which is kind of a shame, because during my college time at Columbus College of Art and Design, there was such an emphasis on learning all these digital programs, right? Like I can do pretty much anything in any of the Adobe suites. I know ZBrush, Blender, After Effects, well, that's Adobe, so Adobe products, Clip Studio, Procreate. Like, dude, it was just so much program learning. And I still use, I use Clip all the time to make the thumbnails, but I don't really draw digitally anymore. What was my last big piece digitally? Well, Toilet Paper Trash issue 1 was digital. But from here on, from this moment forward, it's all going to be traditional, because I've discovered my line work is just far superior traditionally than it is digitally. And I noticed a lot of the big time comic artists will work traditional because it's like a piggy bank almost. It's almost like a freaking retirement fund. Like, let's say you work on a big project. So you work on something for Marvel or something like that. For example, Jock, I think his real name is Mark Sampson. He did Brutal Batman, I think it was. And I just saw on Instagram, I don't know, it was like a week ago, I saw he sold the entire issue, the original art. And to put it into context, an artist of that caliber, it's usually $1,000 to $3,000 per page. And assuming that that was a 24-page book, you know, that's you do the math, that's amazing. You know, it's like $24,000 at the low end. Now granted, we are not all going to become that, but I still like the idea of just having original work. This one's working a little bit better. The only thing that I want to run into trouble with is maybe if I break the panel right here on the head, and then I can do the fancy lettering of cooking with baking cookies with 402, whatever. I can do that right there. So that can work. So I've kind of figured it out. Okay. So this one is cool, but I want to see in the bowl more. So I could just simply open up that ellipse some more. So bringing it down into here. Right, I'm not trying to make the perfect ellipse right now. I just want to see what it will look like if I open it up more and then bring that bowl down. All right, so we've got option 1, option 2. In 2, I feel like I fill up the space more. Yeah, overall, I feel like 2 is the one to go with. So now there's 2 options that you could do, or that I could do. I could do a final like a more finished pencil sketch. Right, these guys have, with the size of them, they have taken longer, and with me talking, they've taken longer. All right, so about 20 minutes for each, so 40 minutes in total right here. On this bigger one, I'm not going to talk as much. I'll probably just time lapse it all. So this one will probably take about half an hour, and I'm going to do it because this is my first published work. So I want to make sure it's putting my best foot forward. You know, I want it to be something that, right, it's clearly a gag page. So I want to make sure I've got things that really make that gag hit, and I want to make sure it's as good as I can possibly do. Right, so I will do it on this, and we'll actually do it at its print size, right, 10.5 by 7.75. So this will be print size. All right. Now, in your own work, you don't necessarily have to go this far. I'd say do it a couple times. Definitely in art school, they would have us do multiple finished, kind of as tight pencils as we can do for whatever the painting or illustration it may be, and then multiple variations of color studies, value studies. Right, you've got to embrace this process And the better you get, the you can kind of cut some of it out, right? Like a better comic artist than me would go in something maybe a little bit bigger than this, but right, they'd go in and they'd figure out their placement of what they're doing. Boom, boom. Right, something kind of rough, right? It's called a layout. Like rough layouts or layout pencils. I forget what they exactly call it. I just call it layouts. But the more experienced comic artists can do this and take it to finish more easily. And to get there, you got to do all these steps to be able to see the finished product or kind of know where you're going. All right, that's enough of me rambling. I'm going to time lapse this for y'all. It's only going to be like 30 seconds. For me, it's going to be about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll see if I run into any troubles. But I'm going to go as far as, I don't know if I'm going to ink it, but I might do testings on some of the panels to get an idea of how I want the finish to look. And then we'll whip out Bristol paper and do the finish. Alright, so here is my finished pencil sketch, and things are working well. Let me get a pointer. Let's see. I like this, like the baking cookies with 402 and the little head break right there. I think that's pretty fun. So you want to make cookies. This text, it works. The only thing I'm a little scared about is how does it read here, right? Like I read it, boom, and then boom, right? Baking cookies with 402. So you want to make cookies. Should be okay. I'll just have to lower some of these background elements. Step 1 is pretty cool. I think I could bubble it out a little bit right here to kind of fill this space. And here, so what, this was step 1, add batter. I think that R reads pretty good under that. I feel like it does. I mean, you got the entire word except for one letter, but it's clear it's an R, so I think it'll be all right. What's step 2? This needs played around with more. Mystery juice. I just need to play around with it a little bit more. It's mainly like where it intersects. It just looks weird, right? So we're going to fix that. Step 3, chocolate chips. I think works well. I think the pot, the big bowl that 402 is putting everything into works well. I do need to texture this batter, I guess you could say. Yeah, I need to texture this batter a little bit better. I want it to feel kind of clumpy, right? The mystery juice. Oh, if you hear a noise, that's my daughter. She's in a rocker right now. She's 4 years old, 4 months old. And she likes to rock herself back and forth. So if you hear it, that's what that is. All right, back to it. Yeah, need to texture this batter a little bit better. The mystery juice, I've kind of went with this almost oil spill type of texture. So I think it'll work well. Step 3 with the chocolate chips. I think it works good, right? I just pick out some of these chocolate chips to put some chocolate on it. Should be fire, right? And it'll make sense because it's well, let me see. If it's chocolate chips, I probably need to play with, because right now they just look like chocolate chip cookies. So I think I need to actually play with the shape of that. See this panel right here, I feel like it's getting a little lost. And there's a couple ways I could solve that. I could make the panel bigger, or when I outline the panel, maybe I surround it with black to pop it forward, or make the inside black. I don't know, something there, but forward to mixing it up really, and I think I got that pretty fun. And then bake for, I don't know if it's going to be 4 hours and 2 minutes or 4 minutes and 2 seconds. I don't know, but I figured that's a perfect place to put a pun. So, however, I think it's going to be read as 4 hours, which is a long time for cookies. There's going to be, that's why nobody eats 402's cookies. We'll just put it that way. Now serve your masterpiece is the last line. When I added all these cookies with like skull and bones, these bones do feel repetitive, so I need to break that up, right? Give some variety to it. So so I'm fix that up. And then do I want to black out anything? I don't know, because I could black out the negative space in between the panels and the bowl and the cookies and bones, but then I would probably have to bleed it, which I mean wouldn't be too hard. You just run black past the point, past the size, the dimension of the final. Yeah, I don't think I will. I think it'll probably be best to leave it open. And I'm thinking style wise, so if you're new to my channel, you probably haven't watched a lot of my training study days that I've been doing this month. But I've been studying like other comics, and honestly, I'm thinking like a style like this where I'll use line to denote form, but I'm using it sparingly. I'll use some strong shadows, but sparingly. This will probably be too much for this page. I could add an amount of a somewhat strong amount of blacks, but I just want to. I think this would be a little bit too much because I need it to read very well with no color, because that's the final of this. The Columbus Scribbler, they don't use color. God, I still can't believe I made that. But then I made this right after, so kind of cool. I mean, line work kind of like this could work, right? This is kind of the scratchy hatchy method. I wish I wouldn't have messed up this shadowing here, because this was kind of good. But I do like this style, right? This line work style. which I think could work pretty well because it's simple, using some tick marks to denote form. It does rely a lot on color though, so it'll probably be a merging of styles. Perhaps something style-wise a little bit more like this, with a less focus on cross-hatching. It's like I like cross-hatching, I'll use it, but I don't want to use it all the time. And sometimes it can just look strange. So I think I got an idea of the style I want to go for. And I'll make the changes on this page, and I'll probably pick out a couple spots to just practice the type of line work I want to do. So I spent basically an hour on this so far, and then I'm going to use it now as my study guide for the final. Because the final, this is print size, so this is what it will look like in the comic. Well, it is a comic. It's a comic magazine strip, and I did a half page, right? So this is basically the full size. It's not exactly this, but pretty much you get it. So my actual final, I want to size up to 15.75 by 11.625, right? I just sized it up by 0.5. Usually you want to do like double the size up, but I don't feel like going to go get a new piece of paper when I just want to work with this paper right here, right? It's 11 by 17, so 15 by 7.75, 11 by 6.2. I'll basically have to oh shoot, this really isn't I'll just have to make it work, I guess you could say. Alright, because 0.62, that's 0.625, that's over half an inch, so I am losing some space. Alright, I don't know exactly what 625 is. It's probably something like that. So I will be losing some space on the height. Oh, that's a problem for me to deal with here in a minute. Alright, y'all, so after editing this video up to this point, I realized it is going to be long as hell, so I'm splitting it into a second video. So thanks for watching this first one. I really appreciate it. The second one is going to post literally not too long after, so if you enjoyed this first one, go ahead and watch the second one. Thank you.